Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today is Monday, July 25th, 2022. I am Solid Blue Sister, and this is My Turn to Talk. Hey, Frankie. Hey, Brina. How are you? How are you? Hope everyone is well. Mr. B, welcome, welcome. How are you? Yo, 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 yo. Thank you for sharing the show, Brina. Okay, so make sure my phone is turned down, and I'm going to stop it here. Okay, so today on this Monday, I want to talk about the pages you will write. What pages will you write for people to remember you? Is it important to leave a legacy? Personally, I think that we leave a legacy throughout our lifespan. Just the things that we do, the way we live. I think that's this again. This is just me. I think that you are leaving a legacy um, in this way. Now, I am going to post. Let me copy and paste here. Give me a moment. All right. So, according to Google, this is one definition of a legacy. All right. An amount of money or property left to someone in a will. You know what, Brina? I've had to tell several people how to do that, and just so you know, Mr. B, that's usually across most platforms. If you go, onto a lot of platforms, that's usually what it is when you click the apper symbol. You did it. You did it. Thank you, Brina. Okay, so no, I'm laughing because there are a lot of people who ask that. Um, so that is and it is the little things. So that's the definition of a legacy: the amount of money or property left to someone in a will. But you can also have okay, I'm going to also copy and paste this. There we go. All right, so it's the amount of richness of the individual's life, including what that person accomplished and the impact he or she had on people and places. Ultimately, the story of a person's life reflects the individual's legacy. Oh, you know how my titles can be. I try to make them interesting. But I will say, what are the pages you will write? I mean, what do you, if someone were to write a book about you, what would you want them to say? What you know, are you going to be that person who, my aunt, my father left me, $2 million. That's a legacy. If you have a business or a store, the auto body repair shop is my family's legacy, and it's been passed down. So I guess what I'm asking is, is there anything particular, anything personal, anything that you particular, want to say about you? How do you want people to remember you? You know, um, and B says he did his best, bless his little, no money heart. Hey, and that's what it could be. He did his best. For me, I want to be remembered as someone who spoke their mind. I didn't let someone tell me you know how I should think. I had my own mind. Uh I have a business that I would like to leave to my son. I will hope to leave a legacy that I raised a nice child, someone who was decent, someone who is a nice person, someone with morals, you know. Um, and Mr. B says he lived his life, you know. Um, so but I think that when you start talking about a legacy, I think that some people think that maybe because they don't have a lot of money or that they don't have fame, they're not this popular basketball star or, you know, uh, celebrity or someone that's constantly in the news, that they don't have one. But I think everyone has one. I mean, even if you're a serial killer, I think that is probably going to be your legacy. You have a legacy of not being a nice person. Your legacy is that you may have killed 20, 30 people, or even just one. You know, so that is true. Money is an illusion, but your actions are real. You know, and there could be some people who um maybe are not that nice of a person, but because they have a lot of money and they're giving their money away, they donate to this, or they give out the money to this, or every school year they're buying the kids backpacks and stuff for school, and shoes and stuff. But in the background they're doing something that's not nice. So money can take away from your true self, your real actions, you know? So my question is, do you want who this popped in? Well, welcome back, Bagman and Power Girl. And Bagman, I do believe you've been here for a bit, and I apologize. I was talking and I did not properly greet you. So welcome. And welcome, Power Girl. So should we um should we want to leave a legacy, not necessarily for our family, because some people may not have one, but should we want to leave a legacy for the world? Um, if what do I want to say? If 50 years from now, 100 years from now, or 200 years from now, if the world is still here, you know, um, and your name came up, or do you want to? What do you want people to know about you? And is it important that whatever legacy that you leave, that it affect your family in a good way, or or you don't care. And the reason why I asked the you don't care thing is because if, say you are someone who is not a nice person, say you do bad things, do you care if it affects your family? Do you care if down the road, um, 50 years from now, when you're gone, or 100 years from now, when your children's children are here, you know, do you care how it affects them, how your bad legacy and your bad behavior affects them, or do you care? Let's see. Mr. B says, "If I ruled the world, great song." Brina says, "Yes, it is." And Bagman says, "We should leave a good name, as leaving us leaving should not create a financial burden on your loved ones." Yes, I wouldn't. And Brina says, "Yes, I would never want to do anything to embarrass my family or burden my family." Okay. And yeah, Mr. B, you know how my topics are. They can get deep. They all depends upon which way you want to go. But I am going to go to what Bagman said, and I'm going to get a little deep on that, and then I'm going to get a little deep on what Brina said about embarrassing your family. So Bagman, when you say you leave a good name should not create a financial burden on your loved ones, what if that financial burden can't be helped? And what I mean by that is, what if you're putting your child through school, and you pass away for whatever reason? Um, you're technically your children or your family may be left with that burden. Same thing if you have a house, and you were the main person, paying the mortgage, paying the bills, not because they necessarily put it on you, but let's say you were the one that had the job in order to pay these bills, and then you're gone, and your family doesn't have a means to pay it. So is that creating a financial burden if something unexpected happens? Mr. B says zip folders, people. And Bagman says have insurance. Okay. And he says I have make sure I have insurance to cover death, and death insurance is important, but they are scammers. Okay. All right. So then would you say that there's no excuse for leaving a legacy of debt if there's insurance? Okay, and B is saying true. Okay, and then for Brina, when you say you would not want to leave a legacy where you embarrass your family, um, if it's unintentional, if it's unintentional, do you think that that's something that your family? You know what? No, I'm going to back up. Let's say you weren't that nice person. Um, Do you think a bad legacy is something that a family would be able to overcome? And Bagman says, I wouldn't say that, but I think it's important to have insurance. It is very important to have insurance. But it says, I've worked with mortgages for over 20 years, and most of the people that have gone into foreclosure have had either a water heater broke or a family member pass. It just keeps adding and adding up from there. It's sad. Brina, I think last week I was telling you guys that I used to work with bankruptcy, and a lot of the bankruptcies that I saw were from medical. That it was someone who was sick, and after they maxed out their credit cards and took out a second on their house and what have you, they were just broke. but they still had those medical bills. Those medical bills just kept adding up, and and it was sad. So Bagman and something like that. Does insurance necessarily cover everything? So if you were sick, and you had something that your insurance wouldn't pay for, what do you do? I mean, that legacy of debt, especially if the person passes away, or let's say they don't, but they need constant care. What do you do? I mean, is this something that's going to be passed down from one person to the other person until the bill's paid? Um, B says, my wife and I are starting a nonprofit organization. We hope to be our legacy. Yes. And Mr. B, if you want to pop up and tell people what you are starting, because I think that is great. Mr. B was on our show, Friendly Differences, on Saturday, and he told us about that. Brina says, it would be tough to have to overcome and reestablish a good legacy, but it's possible. It is sad to see. I see a lot of elderly fall for foreclosure rescue scams. Yeah. Bagman says it's a deep subject, but it's today's world. Fewer and fewer have insurance. So, Bagman, do you think that fewer and fewer have insurance because that's just the way it is in terms of things are just so expensive that either people cannot afford it, or Bagman, do you think it's just the fact that insurance companies just don't want to cover a lot of things now? Because after Katrina happened in what, 2005? Was that 2005? You had a lot of stuff that started talking about floods. When 9/11 happened, you had a lot of banks come back and say that they were not going to cover, uh, uh, terror the terrorist attacks. You know, um, uh, because you had a lot of people who sue banks because their what do you call it, their safety deposits were destroyed if they banked in one of those towers. And Batman says, no, I think it's not a priority in the younger generation. That's a matter of reading when you get insurance. It is. But in terms of something like that, Bagman, is this something that the younger generation just doesn't know? Or is it something that should be told to them? Like, if you decide to buy a house, or if you decide to buy if you buy a car now, I'm pretty sure that in all states you can't drive off the lot unless you have insurance. Before, back in the day, I think they gave you like 5 days to get it, and then some people never got it, whatever. But um is it something that you need to tell people? So should we be leaving our children a legacy of knowledge? Should we be leaving our children or younger people the legacy of common sense? Okay, and you say long-term care insurance isn't even a thought now. All that can be a huge burden. You know what, Brina? You are right. Because before, you would hear about long-term care, long-term care, long-term care. Again, do you think it's just that insurance companies are not pushing it, or people? I mean, before, you would go, and at least when I was working, when I was working for a company, several, um, when you were hired, you sat there in HR, you're filling out your forms and stuff, and long term care was one of the things that came up. And even in your personal insurance, long term care. So is it that, again, insurance companies are not telling us, or we're not informing people, meaning we're not telling our children, or the older generation is not passing it down? I mean, again, should that be a legacy of knowledge? Um, you know what? I don't think a lot of people think about getting old. And Bagman says, we have enabled our kids, and they have no concern for future debt or present. You know, both of you, again, my humble opinion, You are right. And Brina says, I think we are informing on the necessity. Again, going back to the show that we did on Friendly Differences with Ba and I, that we did on Saturday, we were talking about, um, the fact that, and with mostly with men, and this is what I brought up, that a lot of men don't go to the doctor. A lot of women tend to go to the doctor more than men. So again, is it just something that we need to teach our children? Because Brenda, when you say a lot of people don't think about getting old, are you saying the younger generation or the older generation who is aging, who is getting older, do not feel that they have a need, or they can make it the last 20, 30 years without having any issues? And then for the younger generation, they just think that they're this invincible person who is never going to die. Yeah, young people don't think they need it. That's interesting, because you have in some neighborhoods, especially where you have a lot of shootings, you have insurance people who go door to door, not trying to sell insurance to the older crowd, but trying to sell it to the younger crowd, because they don't think that this younger crowd is going to live until they're 20. And that right there is like scary. Batman says they seem to think they do a go to me fund. You know what? You're absolutely right. Yep. Yep. Or is be a YouTube star. Yep. Bagman, that is so true. If you need money, do a GoFundMe. And yeah, to be fair, when I was 20, I did think 40 was old. And Brina, so did I. I remember my father telling me, when you get to be 40, your body's gonna start changing, and you better make sure you have this. I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna be 40. Yeah, 40 did come. So, and it seemed like it came pretty fast. Bagman says, I see GoFundMe for every week over a funeral. You know what? And let me ask this. Hey, B, do you think that Rena says, damn it, that they were right. Do you think that we should require strangers to pay for someone's funeral? And B, you can either answer that question, or you can pop up. And I do want you to tell people about the organization you and your wife are starting.
Okay. Yeah. The question is, can you hear me? Okay.
Yep, yep, yep.
Okay. So you're saying, the question is it? Do I think it's weird for a stranger to pay for someone's funeral?
Yeah. And Brina says nope, and I say nope too.
Yeah, I have to agree with saying no because you don't know what people's situation is. You know what I mean? Sometimes you don't know what's going on, or you never know unless you actually live through it.
Hmm.
Not saying like you don't know somebody's life until you walk through the shoes. Well, sometimes it's impossible to walk in someone's shoes, so I think you should have sympathy. And sometimes just it doesn't. It's not important to know. Sometimes it's like, well, they need help, then here you go. Instead of trying to ask all these questions that might be personal or really none of our business. So the question is, are you willing to help? Then fine, help. If not, then don't give it a third degree.
Okay, but what about what Bagman said, that every time, and which is true, you pick up the news. Well, people don't have newspapers, but you pick up, you go on social media, you look at your phone or whatever, um, or you turn on the TV, and there's a GoFundMe, that someone died, there's a GoFundMe, and someone can't pay, for this, and all they need is 4,000. They end up with 400,000. So, is GoFundMe the new insurance? Is it the new, well, I didn't take out insurance and I'm not paying for it. So now when someone dies, instead of me having to worry about the insurance that I didn't pay for, I'm just going to do a GoFundMe and cross my fingers and hope and pray that someone gives me enough money to bury my mother, my father, my child, whatever.
Well, unfortunately for some, yes, that is the the new way of doing it, but it's not a good way. I mean, just like saying you're trying to start a business or whatever, and you having your hand out. I mean, some people might give you money, but that's probably not the best way to get the funds you need. So yeah, it's definitely not the best alternative, but there are certain situations where people just, you know, push education too. I think some people just not educated in that.
Okay, so again, I say, are we leaving a legacy of uninformed children? Are we leaving a generation of children who are uninformed on the maybe not necessarily the right way to do things, but an alternative, and not to depend
Mhm.
on that GoFundMe? Don't depend on this, because there are some people. I went on one GoFundMe page, and I did not know that when you start clicking around that you can see all the GoFundMe's that are out there. And it's interesting. There are some GoFundMe's that they've been around for months, and they only have like five or $10. And I'm like, okay, so when are you all going to take this down? Because apparently you're not getting what you probably expected to get. So should we tell our kids that you need to have insurance, you need to do this, you need to do that, becoming a YouTube star, or relying on GoFundMe, or becoming a TikTok star, and making, getting endorsements and stuff, is not going to cut it.
You mean to tell me everybody can't be a YouTube star? Come
What
on.
do you think? What do you think?
Well,
So
it's just reality. Yeah, I mean, some parents, including myself, we don't really talk about how important it is to plan for the future. And I mean, what kids really do think about the future? They think about now. I mean, how do us think about, what? I can worry about this next 10 years. No, we worry about, now. I
but
know I
okay,
do.
okay, but listen, okay, but is it, again, what the parents are teaching their children? I just want to read what Bagman said real quick. He says, I have helped many. I don't judge, but insurance is cheap. And Brina says to Shelby, okay, you guys are just talking to each other with pleasantries. And Brina says, planning for the future and death isn't fun, but it can relieve a lot of stress from the family. Okay, I grew up in a home where my uh, mother, father, older sister, and my parents opened up a bank account for my sister and I when we were born, and um, they told us that as long as we did not withdraw from this account until the day they died, they would deposit money into this account. My father passed in 2018. My mother passed in 2021. We literally have passbooks when you don't even see passbooks anymore. My sister and I, uh, recently we went to the bank with our passbooks, and we had to show them so much ID, because they're like, a passbook, what is this, in order to get this money, and with my son, I did the same thing. I opened up an account for him when he was young, and I told him the same thing: as long as you don't withdraw from this particular account, I will deposit money in for you every single week, which I have done. I do tell my son about insurance and stuff, but then again, that's the way my parents taught me. So I say this for my son, because I know that one day I'm not going to wake up. One day my husband's not going to wake up, and he's going to be here by himself. And he's an only child. Yes, he has his cousins and stuff like that, but he'll be here by himself. So I don't want him, aside from dealing with the grief thing, I want him to be prepared on a financial level, and also be able to prepare to go out into the world and be able to handle things on his own, because one day we will not be here. So that's another legacy that I want to leave for my son. So again, like, Bagman said, insurance is relatively cheap. Can everyone afford it? No. So if you cannot afford insurance, should you still do something and teach your children just, I guess, responsibility. Just teach them how the world truly is. That the world is not being a TikTok star or a YouTube star, or uh, having a Podbean show, or relying on GoFundMe. So, B.
Well, yeah, I think being realistic is important, but some people might, say like, well, you gotta have dreams and all that stuff. Yeah, that's fine and everything, but you gotta be realistic at the same time. Meaning, like, well, if I'm going to do this, then this is what I'm sacrificing, and then kind of go from there. Because
Okay.
some
All
people,
right.
what I'm trying to say is, some people do want to do certain things and everything, but they don't really plan on what they're gonna sacrifice.
But is it really okay? But is it really a sacrifice? Because I'm reading here, and welcome the only crazy lady. I apologize. I was running my mouth and I didn't welcome you. Okay, so crazy lady says I prepaid for my creation. It was $2,000 for her and for her husband Ross. Okay, so I think that's great. But Mr. B, when so crazy lady, I don't know if you sacrificed or you purposely did it because you just want to make sure that it was taken care of. You didn't want to leave the burden on your family. But Mr. B, when you talk about sacrifices, can
Yeah, I
you
mean, you
can
sacrifice
not
your time.
right, you sacrifice, but you have people who will run and spend $6 at Starbucks on a latte grande, whatever. I don't drink. I don't drink coffee at Starbucks, so yeah, I don't know. I'm just making that up. So, they spend money on that, or they'll go out and they'll spend $2,000 on a pair of shoes, or they want that bag and they'll spend $2,000. But when it comes to dealing with personal stuff like a funeral, or having money set aside just in case there was an emergency, especially if you live in a state where fires, floods, earthquakes, whatever, you know then all of a sudden it's like, well, I don't want to spend that costs $35 a month. I don't want to spend $35 a month. But how much money are you spending every month on that Starbucks? So
Right? So you sacrifice not getting that drink.
right. So should you complain then? Well, I'm not even gonna say complain. So then is it fair then you run to the GoFundMe page and say, well, I don't have enough money to do this? I mean, because Crazy Lady says I purposely did it so Jay wouldn't have to worry about it. Welcome, DMAC. So oh, and DMAC, I did see your message on daylight savings. So thank you. Um, so and then Crazy Lady says, because when my mom and I die, she will have no more blood family. Okay, so again, it's like if you choose not to take care of certain things that are important, is it right then to go to GoFundMe and ask people to help you pay for it? So that's why again I say, are we leaving the younger generation a legacy of irresponsibility?
No, I think it's up to the parents to teach them, and then also the schools too.
Okay. All right. So, guys, Mr. B entered the word school. He said the word school. So, I'm going to ask you guys, do you think that schools should teach your children, um, uh, you know, responsibility in terms of insurance? In terms of, probably um, funeral planning. I mean, you know, should they do that? Or again, I come back to, should it be
Life skills.
life skills? Okay. All right.
Yeah, because yeah, I think it should be taught because of well, schools should be teaching kids to get ready for their future. I mean, they can't teach everything, but at least teach the basics. I mean, balance a checkbook and all that stuff. And then how can you balance a checkbook if you have all this debt and the funeral and all that stuff? I mean, it can really affect everything, not just one person. It affects the whole family and can also affect the community because now you're asking, hey, I can't afford this, so can you help me out? And that puts a strain on someone else.
So you think that a school should teach your child how to balance a checkbook as opposed to the parents?
Yeah, I mean, parents can, but I think it should be a basic thing to do.
All right. And Alpha Mike, I am saying welcome to you. Again, I'm sorry I also miss you. I do apologize. Um, so again, I come back to this word legacy. So if our children or the generation that comes after us turn out to be knuckleheads, is it our fault because we left a legacy of knuckleheads? Is it our fault or is it theirs?
No, I think there's plenty of room for blame. It takes a village to raise a child, I think, and also I think it takes a village to make idiots. So I think there's plenty of room.
Okay. And Alpha Mike says, when I went to school, I left out that first word. When I went to school, they still had metal shop, wood shop, home economics, driver's ed. But now I think they teach them how to make TikTok videos. Alpha, I think you are so right because when I was in school, I took wood shop, I took home ec, then I dropped it because I prefer wood shop. I did take driver's ed in high school. My high school didn't offer it, but we went to another school that did. Um, and they had the whole driver's course and the cars and everything. And then we had to do was just go to the DMV and get our permit and then get your license. But you're right. I mean, you had the home ec, you had, I mean, they had so many things in schools, but they don't do that anymore. And I agree. I think now it's like making TikTok videos. So my question is, as a parent, if your child and be honest, everyone, if your child was making a lot of money doing TikTok videos, would you tell them to stop, or would you give them a reality check? And I want you to compare it to this. You have people whose children are doing sitcoms or whatever, and they're making a lot of money doing this episodic TV and what have you. They're making a lot of money. Do you still teach them about reality? Because you may be on a hit show, but how many times do hit shows, when they're canceled, you usually only see one person, if any, go on to be something bigger, where everyone else, they end up just being guest stars for the next 20 years, or you don't see them anymore. So if your kid's making all this money on TikTok, realistically, would you tell them to stop? Because realistically, if my son was, I would tell him, okay, you're gonna make this money, but you're also going to continue to do this, and this, and this. And I would put the caveat in there: if you want to continue living in this house, you're going to do this, because one day you're gonna wake up and you're not gonna be that TikTok star anymore. And Shelby says, I think all schools should have a career day and have them come to the school and teach the children how to manage um, Okay, hold on. Let me read this again. I think all schools should have career day and have them come to the school and teach children how to manage the here after their parents. I'm not sure what you're trying to say, Shelby. And Alpha says this generation is being taught how to be antisocial by being social on social media instead. Uh, and Crazy Lady says, I would tell her to do it while it lasts, but be prepared for what comes next. Exactly. Yes, all children should know reality. Okay. They would stockpile her earnings. You know, and Crazy Lady, I think that's great because my son won't spend money for the life of him. He will try to get me to buy something, whatever. But stockpiling your earnings. Alpha says to Crazy Lady, yeah, it won't jiggle for a long time, huh? But eventually just flops. Um, okay, Mr. B is back. Crazy Lady says she is real self conscious about money and stuff. That is because she has grown up poor. Crazy Lady, my dad grew up poor, and I think that's one reason why he was so tight with his money. And DMAX says, no, make hay while the sun is shining, save a large portion of the money. Well, welcome, Tron Cat. And Alpha says, teach them how to invest. Okay, so you're saying no, make hay while the sun is shining, save a large portion of money. Do you think that most people realistically save money? I'm not even saying a large portion. Do you think realistically most people save money? And I know a lot of people, especially nowadays, live paycheck to paycheck. But I think that a lot of people have been living paycheck to paycheck for quite some time, for years and years and years and years. But do you think that people save their money, or people even know how to save? And Bagman says most don't. I'm Crazy says I make a penny scream for days, and B says oh money, and Alpha says teach them how to invest. So Bagman, okay, so let's look at this. Do you think that uh, most people don't know how to set money aside, or the money just burns in their pocket? Like, okay, I paid this bill, I paid this bill, I paid this bill, and then you go out one day and you see something you want, and you should put that money aside, but next thing you know, you're pulling out your debit card or whatever, and you're spending money. And Batman says if a teenager starts saving 6% on every dime they make, they will be rich by the time they are 45. Well, guys, what about that? Uh, B.
Shoot, I juggle bills like nobody business.
So you do set money aside, or you don't?
I try, but I don't, not as much as I probably should. No, cause we got so much stuff going on, so many bills and everything else. Before you know it, kid breaks something, then bam, that's an extra $200 to fix that. So yeah,
Okay, all right. And Alpha Mike says it's good to save, but also you can't take it with you when you die. And Tron Cat says you deserve to purchase, reap the benefits of your time when you're working to a grave and not buy anything for yourself. Wait, hold on. Let me read this again. Um, you deserve to purchase. You deserve to purchase, reap the benefits of your time. You're working to a grave and not buy anything for yourself. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I spend all my extra money on me and my family. Okay. No, Bagman, I know the math is true. And Crazy Lady says the only money we have going out is on cell phone and groceries. And Mike says, I agree and wish I learned that when I was younger. We own our vehicles and fifth wheel. You know, Crazy Lady, I'm telling you, not having to have a car note, oof, love it. Could you afford 6 cents out of every dollar? For me, yes. Um, some people don't have a dollar, but you know, I want to go back to what Alpha says. It says it's good to save, but also you can't take it with you when you die. But Alpha, is it about taking it with you when you die, or leaving a legacy behind that will make your children or your wife or your whomever you leave behind, make them more comfortable, so they won't have to struggle. So yes, you can make all this money and not, and not take it with you, but at the same time, yes, you spend money on yourself and your family, but when those emergencies come up, like Bagman said earlier, some people want to go to what I want to say. Some people want to go to go fund me and have other people pay for that emergency. So if you were saving, some of the money that you're spending on yourself and your family, could that be for that emergency that you didn't know? Like Mr. B said, the kids are breaking something. That's another $200. You know, we had our water heater replaced last year, and then last week when I'm doing the show, I don't know that there's water all over my laundry room until I go down there. I'm like, what the, but one of the pipes, you know, um, had a little pinhole, and then it just completely burst. And we had to have that fixed. Thank goodness we have a homeowner's policy, because that would have been a lot of money. But we only had to pay what, that $75 deductible, whatever. So Mr. Bagman, there you are with the insurance or the warranty, whatever. But you know, no, you can't take money with you when you die, but do you want to save it for an emergency? And also, do you want to leave something for your children? Even though a lot of people don't want to leave anything for their children, but if some people have it, well, then they do. Let's see. Batman says, okay, I read that. 6 cents on every dollar. Wealth for your family. Yes, and Alpha says I'm not for a legacy, because eventually they'll forget the story by making their own. So Alpha, before you came on, at the beginning of the show, when I said legacy, I wasn't just talking about financial. I was also talking about just a legacy of, what would you want history to write about you? Because I do believe that as we live our life, that from birth to death, a legacy is being formed. Whether you're famous, rich, whatever, you do in some way leave one. So a legacy is not always about money or about property. It could be a legacy of a reputation that is good or bad. Tron Cat said, I worked my ass off for years. Now 30 to be exact. I've bought in the boat. I have side by side, 16 guns, 5 motorcycle dirt bikes. You got to live, man. Otherwise, what's the point? Okay, okay. So let's see. So Mr. B, what do you think about that? Is
About what?
about, you know you've worked hard, for like Tron said, for 30 years, and he wants to spend his money.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I think live and let live. I mean, not everyone has, you know, a family. You know,
Hmm.
some are just themselves, and that's fine. So I guess it depends on individual hearts, like what's important to you.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
And
money doesn't define you. It just kind of, I think money just enhance who you really are.
so, do you care about leaving a legacy of, again, not financial, but do you care about leaving a legacy of just being a good person, someone who someone could count on, and you
Well,
know,
well, to me, it's a little more than that. Just because I'm not a perfect person, but I do my best to be the best Christian I can to be. So I do my best for my family and my church. So my legacy I would like to leave behind is that, to follow and be the best person they can as guys, push them in certain aspects of their life. So that's the main thing I would try to push, is to not just be kind to others, but also try to find a religious path for inner peace.
okay, all right. So you guys, hold on 1 second here. I need to do something real quick. Okay, one moment, one moment. Okay. All right. So, Alpha says, GoFundMe. I see a lot of people on Instagram asking people to buy them drinks by sending money to their Cash App. And and the thing is, Alpha, people do it. And then Tron says, I use credit cards for emergencies and docs. Let's see. It looks like Zilla was here. Okay. And let's see. And hold on a second. Oh, Caps, I miss you. Okay.
Right, do me a favor. Don't ban that other account because that
And
was me.
okay.
Don't ban. Let me
I,
tell you the
I I
name.
thought you were someone else, so
Yeah,
I will
no,
make sure that
don't.
I don't. Okay.
Canuck. Don't ban that account, please.
Okay. All right. I thought you
But
were somebody else.
no, no, it won't. It was me.
Okay.
I just
And
come in. I'm in the background. I always do. How are you? I hope you're doing very well. I've been off. I've had a couple of shit weeks actually. So yeah, I don't really want to talk about it in too much depth. So yeah, but I'm all right. So how are you? How is everything?
I am fine, Caps. I hope you are doing well.
Well, I'm gonna go myself, but I just wanted to say, look, I will stay, but I'll just hang around in the background. I don't
Okay.
want to wreck your show. Don't want to wreck your show. I want to show. I'm gonna show up. Don't worry. I just wanted to say hello. I ain't spoke to you in ages.
Well, thank you,
So,
Caps. Thank
all
you.
right.
All right. So Shelby says, hold on, DMAC wants to come up. Shelby says, trying cat, I was brought up without an allowance because my parents did not believe we should have free money. Interesting. 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 Alpha says nothing. I lived and died. That's that's interesting. Free money as an allowance. I never looked at it like that. Um, hmm. So DMAC, are you up here? And Bagman says I had a lady in her 20s put 2 6-pack of beers and some potato chips on the counter at the store. The cashier rang her up, and she turned to me and said she didn't have the money to pay and asked if I would help her. So I did. I helped it put it back on the shelves. That's you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. And Alpha says, yeah, I push away my family for my well-being. Friends also come and go. People will always judge and make up their own stories anyway. What matters to me at the end is I'm happy and how I live. So Alpha, that's what I'm saying. So would you want your legacy to be that that you lived a good life? You led and a good life, meaning it was a good life in terms of material things, or maybe you didn't have those material things, but you lived a good life because you were a good person. You just live your life right. And I do I agree with you when you say that some people they make up stories. Okay, let's see. You guys are talking to Caps here, and then Tron says, "All I'm trying to say is don't slave to the bone on your fingertips when you can spend $30 in a couple hours to get yourself a manicure massage." Yeah, okay, yeah. Go watch a movie with your kid, your wife. Enjoy the little things. I work 7 to 7 every day. I'm going to do that. Okay, yeah. Okay. I know, Alpha. I thought it was Ziller. Uh, so thank you, Caps, for telling me. And let's see. Shelby says it's hard to believe in GoFundMe because some of it. Hold on, crazy lady. Let me catch you here. Okay, there you go. Shelby says it's hard to believe in GoFundMe because some of it is for personal gain instead of for the person they were supposed to be raising it for. So let me ask you guys this. If you say that you only need, I'm just throwing a number out there, you say you only need $5,000 on GoFundMe. Don't you think that GoFundMe or whatever should cap it at that 5,000? Because then you hear people say, "Oh, they only wanted 5,000," then they ended up getting 25,000. Should they give that money
Can
back?
can I say something about it?
Yeah, go ahead, Caps. And
I think
crazy
I
lady,
think
I'm trying to get you up
I
here,
think
but
uh, I
I'm sorry.
think to it's all right, it's all right. I think to open yourself up, like to literally publicly ask for money, like you've got to have something about you to do that. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think I would have it in me to literally publicly ask for money. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but me, I'll prefer to be on my arse than rather than ask anyone for anything. I'll tell you straight. That's just me, though. That's my opinion. I feel like I lose my dignity when I ask someone for money, and I never have asked for anyone for money. But if you know where I'm coming from, I feel like I always ground myself. I teach my kids to always make sure you look after yourself because no other person in this world is going to, you know, everyone is selfish. Well, not everyone, but if you know where I'm coming from, right? So that's my kind of movement. So yeah, so
Okay. All right. So I want to come back to something that Cap said, but let me just read what Tron said before I get behind in the chat. Tron says, "I've never been given $1 in my days. I know what that's like, but once you've earned it, don't sit on it and let it mold. It's just money. It's not worth anything half the time anything anyway." And Crazy Lady says, "Yes, we didn't get an allowance." Um, let's see. Thank you everyone for liking the show. Heichel says, I love me. That's the legacy I'm going to leave." Okay. No problem, Crazy Lady. I thought that I was something was going on. Doing supply run. Okay. Hey, BP, you snuck in here. How are you? Da, da, da. Okay, so Cap says that he doesn't like or feel comfortable asking people for money. Shelby said that her parents did not give her an allowance when she was growing up because they did not believe in giving away free money. So, Shelby, I want to ask you if you ever needed something or if you wanted to buy something or when you were younger, before you were old enough to work, say you were 10 years old, you want to go to the candy store or something like that. Were you able to ask were you able to ask your parents for money then? And then when you got older, you were expected to work. And then for Caps, I want to ask, if you don't feel comfortable asking people for money, is there a difference between people who ask for money on GoFundMe and homeless people who are on the street with a sign asking for money? Is there a difference? What do you guys think?
all right. The reason with the GoFundMe thing and the person out on the street, there's many movements. I'll give you an example really quickly. All right, now I'll use it really quickly for me. So imagine giving someone something, and then they're there every day, and they expect it. So
Mhm.
this is a problem. So this is where you learn. Well, you live and learn. Don't give any fucker anything because it's expected. So at the end of the day, it's up to them people to get off their ass and fucking go and to do it. I'm sorry, but that is the way I see it. And if you are that brazen enough to go on internet and do that and get money, then fair dues. Like I'm not gonna knock you out too much, but for me personally, I wouldn't do it. I just can't. I can't do it. I would never do it. Oh, that's why I've got a job, you know. And even though it maybe doesn't earn OnlyFans money, but it earns enough money for me to do what I need to do with my respect and dignity. I'll tell you that. You know. So yeah, but I do believe like I'd like to help people in such a way with the people on the street. But with people who are begging on the internet, I feel that some people are not genuine, so it kind of wrecks it for everybody else, you know? Just like the people on the street.
Okay.
You
All
get where
right.
I'm
Now
coming
back.
from.
Yeah. And Bagman says, one thing you can count on. One thing you can count on is if you help someone with money, the next time they need money, they will ask you again. Do most of
Again,
you guys think
yes, I
that that's
agree.
true? Because
Batman is
yes, I
so
agree on that too.
on the
Yep.
ball. Yeah, because I've had it.
Yep.
The more I lend someone money, I'm the lender. I'm not the person who borrows things. I lend people money, and I stopped lending people money a very long time ago due to the fact that I'd have to chase my own money. Why should I have to chase my own money? What the hell? You know, and it's like I'm asking them, I'm like, have you got that? And I don't even need it really. It's more the principle, you know. It's like, bro, you owe me money. You know, it's been a fucking a month. Like, are you gonna give me that money back or what? You know, this is the thing. Oh, thank you, Bagman. And Bagman's so right, and you know, they will always come back to you, and then it becomes like a little debt. It's like they feel, and you end up losing friendship with them because you're like, all you want me for now is to take off me. And you know, the only time you speak to me is when you want something from me. And this is the problem with people who give people stuff. You should keep it on a level. You should keep things on a level with people. And if you go where the money is, you'll end up falling out. But if you always keep it before money, you'll be fine. Even on a friendship level, even on an anonymous level, genuinely, I really mean it, because money wrecks everything, man. But anyway, sorry.
No, I mean I'm listening to you, and I'm reading. Crazy Lady says I have always paid back money. You know, but there are people who, you know, if you're at the store, they're like, hey, can you buy this for me? I'll give it back to
I've
you
done it.
when,
I've done
you
it.
know,
I've
I'll
done it.
give it
Yeah.
back to you, you know, when we get home, or I'll give it back to you,
Yeah.
whatever. And that happens 2 or 3 times. It's like, well, you owe me $20 here, you owe me $30 here, you owe me this here, and you never get it back, and they never bring it up.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
What
they
about people
never.
who take cigarettes off you and drinks off you every day and try and come around every day and leech off your fridge and leech off? Like, I had friends like that back in the day. I lived and learned. You know, I had people just coming round to have a drink with me. And I'm like, right, what's having a smoke with me? The only reason they're coming around is to drink and smoke for free. Do you get where I'm coming from? Do you remember
Yeah.
back in the day? Did you ever have any leeches like that back in the day? They only come
uh
to the pub, the public house, a club when you've got money, not when
yeah.
they've got money.
Yeah, and that's
You know?
when you tell them no, and do not have a problem telling
No, I
people
done
no.
it for a bit, but they
Bagman's.
latched on and made it feel.
Oh
I
yeah.
had to in the end feel like an arsehole and go, yo, what you doing, bro? You know, you know, it's like wake up, what you doing?
Bagman says when they ask for money, tell them you have a yard that needs to be cut, or a car that needs cleaned. Watch the excuses. Crazy Lady says, okay, I bring it up. Okay. You know, so once again, you know, I'm just trying to tie everything together here. Is your legacy going to be one of, you know, you were a good, kind person? You know, Mr. B said earlier, um, that he tried his best. You know, he tried to, you know, be a good person. You know, whatever. Or is your legacy just going to be someone who, DMAC? I don't know if this is a another if you
I
want to
know
come
where
up,
you're
you're able to
coming
come up.
from.
Or do you want to be that person who uh again, I'm not just talking about financial, again, like I said, if you're that serial killer, or you were robbing a bank, or you were just an asshole, is that going to be your legacy, and is it going to stick to your future generations? Is what you did going to stick to your
No,
future
no, I don't think. I
okay.
don't think that. I think we all learn through our mistakes, and we all get to a certain point in our life where we was all broke at one stage. Like I was saving when I was 14 in order to get a tower, not even a monitor or a keyboard. So, like, I got it at 16. Now from my own money, not from what anyone gave me, from what I made from like actually mowing lawns and cutting hedges and doing washing cars. Like, this is the thing. Like, some people haven't got that thing in the head where they want to try and earn money at an early age. Where some people do. Do you know? And that's the way it is, really, in my eyes. Like, but like, if someone said to me, "Oh, you a good person because you don't, you a bad person because you don't give to the not so fortunate," it's like, well, to be fair, I've got a family of 6, and I need to, well, including myself, so I'm a family of 5, and I need to make sure I'm all right before anyone else. To be honest, yeah.
I want to read a comment, and I apologize to people over on YouTube. Cookie says, seems like more when we were talking about healthcare and insurance. She just said, seems like more of an issue with the healthcare system and the extraordinary amount they charge for basic healthcare. So again, Cookie, JK, and who else is in here? Some of these names. But thank you guys for popping over to YouTube, and I apologize for not popping over here to read your comments.
You give someone an inch, they take a mile. That's to who shall
Well,
be Jack. You give someone an inch, they take a bloody mile, and it's a
well,
true
hold on.
saying. It
Let
really is.
me read what crazy lady
Go on.
says, because she says she always pays back money, but she also says Ross works many hours for free because we live on property and we can't live there for free, so we do work around. We do work around there. It has never been asked of us, but we just do it. So I think that's good. It's like they're they're putting in work, to say thank you. I'm assuming for letting you guys live there, and you just and you help around the house. I think that's good. I mean, that's a good thing. And then she says in the summer, other employees stay out there, but they don't give extra work. Shelby says, I really don't care if people don't like me because I don't like anybody. I don't let anybody borrow from me. Okay. And Bagman says, I was voted Citizen of the Year 2 years ago, but our actions day to day is more important than the publicity day to day. The real you is more important than perception. Yes, it is.
And I agree
And
with that, Bagman, because you know what? If everyone thought about what other people thought about them, you would be digging your head in the sand, don't you agree?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So and you can't allow, so at least I try not to, because people are either going to like you or they're not. They're going to criticize you, or they won't. They'll praise you,
Yeah.
or they
Constructive
won't.
criticism is
you
brilliant
know
as well. You
if
know.
it's constructive, and let me see, welcome Daniel. Okay, Daniel just popped back out. So, but anyway, guys, I am going to wrap this up. And this has been, even though I was talking about, what legacies you were writing, everything, I enjoy, talking to you guys about the insurance part of it, how much money you should save. That what Batman said about the 6%.
No, you should
You know,
spend it all, yeah, and let them do it them bloody selves.
but I do believe that the older generation is not teaching necessarily teaching the younger generation that you have to be responsible for certain things that you have what I want to say that your GoFundMe's are not going to necessarily help you all the time, and your TikToks and what have you are not necessarily going to help you all the time. And Crazy Lady says, I think because we do extras, why we don't have to leave at the end of the summer. That's good, Crazy Lady. And Tron Cat says, can I just say it's because the younger generation is very disrespectful? Let him figure it out on their own. That's what I let my kids do. Okay. And Bagman says, we try, but they like Google. They know everything. Well, and as we know, the younger generation does not know everything. So, let's see. Kids, kindness. Wait, hold on. Kid needs kids need to telling. Okay. And Tron said the younger generation don't know shit. So, guys, before I wrap this up, what do you all consider the younger generation? I know you have your millennials, you have your Gen Zs, you have your Gen Xs, but give me an age range. Are you talking, between 20 and under, 30 and under? Are 40? I mean, what do you guys consider younger?
I'm
Because
young. I'm 36 and I'm bloody young.
so what do you little wanker. So what do you consider young? Let's see. And Tron says 21 and down is what I think these parents have done such a bang up job. Okay. And Shelby says 20 and younger. Okay, so
If they ain't got a job by the
21 to
21 or 22, then you need to slap them in the face.
okay, so you guys think that people who are 30 know what is going on? Or do you think they just know more than that 20 or 21
No,
year
they
old?
don't know more. They think they know more. That's the problem.
So, okay, Cap, so if you're 37,
I'm
do you
36.
think that you 36? So, do you think that you know more? I mean, so do you think that that someone can't tell you something
No, they
that
can tell
someone
you,
said,
but
well,
it's the way that they plant it. If they've got no respect in the way that they approach their movement, then you've lost in everything. It's the way that you have respect for someone and the way that you say anything. That my kid can tell me something and correct me all day long, and I'll love him for it. But it's the way that you do it, and as long as you've got respect, the way that you speak and the way that you portray yourself, and then the energy that you give off, then oh damn, you've got a good kid there, yeah. But if you've got a little twat that thinks he knows it all, that's a different story.
well, I mean, but you said, I mean, but that goes across the board. The way you say things,
Yeah, the
the
way
way
you
you
express
you come
yourself.
across to people. Yeah, I mean that goes for
No,
anyone.
it
So
does, but as a
let's take that.
youth, you've got to gain respect, look, kind of elders, haven't you? So, like, as you get older, you want to learn and you want to progress and you want to do well. You've got to respect other people. It's quite simple, and you should anyway. It goes without saying. It's like saying your P's and Q's. It should be just built in you if you've been brought up properly. That's the way I feel. If you've been brought up properly with respect and morals in your movement since you was a kid, I think that you'll do well in life. I've got to be honest.
Okay, and BP says you never know everything. You can always learn something, and I think that's true. And I also think that
Definitely,
when you're
no one's a
trying
master of nothing.
when you're trying to deliver the message, there's also a way to deliver the message. So, and again, that goes across the board. So let me go back. See, I was going to wrap this show up, but then I asked another question. So, so if you're talking to, let's say, I'm looking at this when you guys said 20 and younger or 21 and younger, whatever. If you're looking at this 17-year-old and you're trying to teach them how to, I mean, I would say a checkbook, but people really write that many checks anymore, but just balance their bank account, whatever. And you're trying to explain to them how, they have this job, and yes, they want to go out and they want to buy these shoes or whatever, but they should, save some of their money, whatever. Is it the way that we're telling them as opposed to telling them at all? Like, will they listen to you more from your delivery, or you just think they just won't listen, period, just because that's
I
what
think
that
it no.
generation
I think
does?
it's you know, don't you? You know, if you've brought up kids, everyone knows when you've brought up a kid like me. Like you go from a certain stage, like from 0 to 5, then you go from 5 to 10, and then when you get to 10, it's like ooh, and then you get to 11, 12, it's like ooh, whoa. I'm at 14 at the minute, my maximum. You know, but I've got a 14, 13, 12, and 9, so like it's a bit of a sticky situation, and the point being in me saying that is two of them are hormonal, like, well, three of them are all hormonal because they're all going through the changes of their little 7 year drop kind of thing. And it's like, whoa. And, you know, they're all little bitches at times. I've got two girls, two boys. Like, you know, they get moody, but I know because I know, you know, like their actions are because I know they're going through that. So once you get over that stage and you go through your crap and whatnot, then you get to a point like obviously women in general, you know, 4 weeks. I ain't even gonna go there. I ain't gonna say it.
Okay.
But like, but no. But the point is that like it's hard, man. But like once you get over that, once you get to 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and you're talking about them times, these people that you've brought up for how long, they should already know what to do. And if they don't at like 16, 17, in my eyes, I'm not all set at 18 at the max. Genuinely, what are you doing? What have you done? What have you done? Really? What have you done? What have you done to tell them to get off their fucking ass and do something with themselves? No matter what they do, I don't give a fuck what job they've got. If you're not academically brilliant, I don't care. Get off your ass. Get out my house and make sure you earn coin. And if you don't earn coin, then you're going to get the fuck out of my house. And that, I'm not going to say I'm going to chuck my kids out, but that's what I had. So, you know, it's like they need a bit of a kick up their arse. These kids are being mollycoddled. They're being wrapped up in cotton wool. You know, you can't do that. I'm loving my kids at the minute, but they're going to have a short, sharp shock if they don't do well in school because they're going to get, you know what I mean? It's one of them. You know, I can't say what goes on, but they're doing well. But, you know, you've got to go with it. You've got to be honest. You've got to be honest and you've got to go for it. And you've got to let them know that I ain't messing about. And the more that parents kind of go, it's going to be all right, the more that you're mugging yourself off. I'll tell you straight. Mm.
Okay. So I want to read what Tron said. Okay. Hold on, Tron. I just went up too far. You said you are 40. Oh, I missed it, Tron. Okay, I totally missed what you said. But you said that you learn something new every day, and then you said that oh, that's the shit that they should have learned in junior high. And then Tron says a 17-year-old kid that can't balance his checkbook is a dummy. Um, and then Shelby says, I have a 19-year-old that cannot keep a job, and 21 that works two jobs. Tron says yes. Crazy says one must contribute to one's existence. I agree with that. No free rides allowed, says Crazy. And then she says, if you borrow something, return it in better condition if possible. And Crazy Lady, that's one reason why I do not loan things anymore, because my things would come back. I'm like, seriously? So I do not loan anything. Do not ask me. I do not loan. I do not borrow. So I want to ask you, when you say that like balancing a checkbook and everything is something that they should learn in junior high, and this is where I had asked earlier. See, I'm supposed to be wrapping up the show. This is what I was asking earlier is, do you think that it is the school's responsibility first to teach children about finance, or should that start at home and then school is just an enhancement? So I'm waiting for Tron to answer. So what do you all think? Okay, so Tron says, I believe we should start at home, but the math that's needed to do such a task is provided in junior high. Okay. All right. And then Shelby says, no, home is the enhancement. So, Tron, what if your child's school is not providing that? What if they don't do that? Shouldn't home be the one, like if your child is 17 years old and he can't balance his checkbook, is that still on you, the parent, more so, as opposed to the school? And let's say that the school provide it, but they still can't do it. Is it, I mean, is it still you, the parent, who should make sure and sit down with them and try to figure out where they're going wrong, why they're having such a hard time? Trying to say, me personally, I take their asses out and put them in a different school. Okay. And Crazy says, my dad would ask us if it was assets or liability because he doesn't keep liabilities around. Interesting. Interesting. Hey, Coltrane, welcome. Welcome. Um, And then Shelby says, then you don't have a choice but to teach them. Okay, so try. What about what Shelby's saying then? That you teach them instead of taking them to a different school. At what point would you teach them? Okay, Tron says, yes, to an extent. Like I said, the math, they need to know how to do that. Task is provided to them in junior high, whether they use it or not is totally up to the parents and the student and the child. But okay, so you say the math. So are you saying that? And again, I'm just mainly talking about balancing a checkbook. You're 17-year-old balancing this checkbook. But if, again, instead of pulling them out and sending them to a different school, I guess I'm asking, at what point does the parent say, okay, the school isn't doing a good job, or whatever, they're just not getting it? Just like when your kid comes home with homework and there's just something that they just don't get, you know at what point is it the parents' responsibility to sit down to make sure that they do get it? So let's see. um because I think it's more on the parent than on the school. Okay, Tron says, so I guess times were different back in my day. Schools taught adding and subtracting. Isn't that what balancing the checkbook is? And subtract, if you can't do that by the time you leave junior high. I don't know what to tell you. I'll help my kids, but anybody else's kids, if you don't know, you're never going to. Okay, all right. And no, I mean, yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying, that kids go to school and they learn adding, subtracting, division, fractions and multiplication, things like that. But I'm saying, if a child is not getting it, not just balancing a checkbook, just with anything, if for whatever reason they're just not getting it in school, is it the parents' responsibility to make sure that they do get it at home, that they do understand whatever the assignment is at home? For instance, if your child was supposed to write a book report, and well, this is what we had to do in school. We had to write a book report, then we would have to stand up in front of the class and we would have to read it. And then the teacher would be sitting in the back of the class and she would be asking, well, what about this and what about this, whatever. Um, I know some kids when I was in school, whenever I had to write a book report, I would have to, every night until that book report was done, I had to stand in front of my mother and father and read it. And if my mother, who was a teacher, didn't like the way I read it, she would tell me to read it over, whatever. Or my father would say something, or my sister, she would usually say something, whatever. Well, what about this? Whatever. But then there were some kids who their parents were not around, or they just did not take the time to have them read it. So and even though they tried to practice on their own, when they got up in front of the class, they had a hard time. So for something like that, is that the teacher's job to make sure that you can get up in front of the class and read your book report? Or is it the parent's job to help you So when you do get up in front of the class, you're able to do it. Coach Ring says, yeah. And Tron says, if it is the required curriculum per state, if your child's not receiving the proper education in school, any school, take them out, homeschool them. Better off that way anyway. Okay, and I will say I did homeschool my child from fifth grade on. Um, And BP says the school and the parents should work together. And Tron says, and if a child 17 years old and still not understanding the concept of balancing a checkbook, they don't need to have a bank account. And Tron, I am with you on that 100%. I'm with you on that 100%. But I'm still saying, does that mean that we just need to say, I give up, you don't get a bank account, and you move on? Or do you try to help this person try to balance it? Because you do have some people who learn faster than others, and you have some people who, for whatever reason, they just don't get it. They will soon enough, but they just don't. So do you just drop that person and say, you're just hopeless and you just don't get it? You don't get a checking account, whatever. you know what do you do? And Cap said I had a bank account at 14. Okay, and no, just try to teach them. Try for a later time to open one. Okay, all right. So you would still help them. Okay, all right. Cool. All right, guys. So I am now officially going to wrap it up, but I do want to say one thing. A couple months ago, I had mentioned that I was going to take my show in a different direction, and I am. My Friday night shows that I was doing and then I stopped doing them for a while. I am going to come back. Hey, Grit, welcome. I am going to come back and do those shows, but I'm going to do it a little differently. I'm going to do like a pass the mic thing, where if you guys want to come up, I'm going to have one or two people come up, preferably one, but one or two, and then I would cut off the what do you call it, the thing, I don't know what it's called, where you can come up. I'm gonna turn the phone light, I guess, turn the phone light off, and then that person or those two people can either ask me questions, or they can come up with their own topic to talk about. They can talk about past shows, what they like, what they didn't like, where they think that I can improve, or what they think I'm doing well on. Or they can ask, other people, if other people are in the chat, you know um, what they like or don't like. So, and I'm going to kind of try it out on my Wednesday show. My Wednesday show is a question and answer show. I don't know if you guys want to stick around for that, but that's what it's going to be. Angie had asked me about this last week, saying, could I have a question and answer where, people can ask me things, and that is fine. I will tell you guys one thing: I do not talk about I do not say the name of my son. I do not give out the name of of my husband. I do not give the name of my business. All of that, I keep my business um, separate from podcasting. So anything like that, and you say, "Oh, what is your son's name?" I will not do that. I will not say what schools they go to, or anything like that. So if you all are interested, I'm going to do that on Wednesday. And Caps, thank you very much for coming. Um, and trivia, I'm not one for the game things. I'm not one for games. But thank you, Caps, for coming. So, but anyway, guys, if you all are interested in that, I'll see how it works. If it works, great. If not, I just know not to do it again. So, and I do hope to do it on Wednesday. It is my plan to do it Wednesday, but I am taking my car into the mechanic early Wednesday morning. Supposedly, it's supposed to only take an hour, but we shall see. But anyway, other than that, guys, enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you all for coming. And I love this conversation today, and enjoy the rest of your day or evening wherever you are. Bye. Oh, and I have to say this because Grid is here. Go where the wind takes you. Bye, guys. So again, BP, Grid, Tron, and Tron, thank you very much for your input. Very interesting. Shelby, you too. Power Girl, Frankie, thank you so much. Brina was here earlier. Alpha Mike, you guys had some things to say. And Bagman, thank you so much. All of you guys. Crazy Lady. All of you guys, thank you. Thank you. You guys have some interesting things to say. And see, some people say that I go off topic, which I know that I do, but it depends upon what people say in the chat. And I always want to make sure that I read what everyone says. If you guys can take the time to show up and put things in the chat, I want to make sure that I am reading it. So if it gets off topic, it gets all off topic. And again, for everyone over on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, thank you for coming. Okay, guys, enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.